Welcome back to Two Sides. I'm Christy Mazurek.
And I'm Michael Caputo.
Sergio Rodriguez, Republican candidate for City of Buffalo mayor race. Welcome into Two Sides. A lot of people would say, wow, are you serious?
That's right. Thank you for having me, Christy.
Hey, no problem.
And Michael. We haven't had a Republican mayor in the city of Buffalo now for over 50 years, so I think that's a fair question to ask. I mean, haven't been so long that we've elected a Republican mayor. That's probably one of the first questions people ask. You know, why are you getting involved when we haven't elected a mayor in so long? And the population of the city is overwhelmingly Democrat. We have about 120,000 Democrats registered versus only about 16,000 registered Republicans in the city of Buffalo.
When was the last time the Republican Party ran a Latino for mayor of Buffalo?
Well, you know what? To my knowledge, this is the first time in Buffalo's history where either the Republican or the Democratic Party has ran a mayor that's Latino here in the city of Buffalo.
That kind of puts all bets are off then, don't you think?
Hey. So what's your platform? Why get involved? Why put your stake in this race?
Well, you know what, Christy? I'm looking at many of the issues that residents are telling me about it, and it just seems like there's nothing really being done to address these urgent issues, such as education, crime, poverty, and unemployment. These are issues that under the current administration, things have only gotten worse. It's gone from bad to worse.
Well, I've noticed in a lot of your Facebook materials, your website materials, you talk a lot about the need for a more involved mayoral administration. What do you mean by that?
Well, here's what I picture as an involved administration. Here's what it might look like in the city of Buffalo. When you look at the fact that we contribute annually over $70 million from the city of Buffalo tax base into an education system that's failing us by all accounts. We're only graduating 47% of our students from high school. Yet mayors in other cities, like for example, New York City, Michael Bloomberg, he actually inherited a similar school system as the one we have in Buffalo, but he did something about it. And here's what he did. He sought mayoral control over the education system. He asked the voters to hold him accountable. Look at what Stephanie Miner did in Syracuse. She actually interviewed the incoming superintendent. So we need leadership that actually is looking at these type of issues and is actually involved. It's actually taking leadership on this.
Well, I think a lot of people give you a lot of credit for standing up and taking this run. I also noticed, you know, I follow your Facebook page. I think a lot of people do. And I noticed that you spent the weekend at the sites of some of these shootings that we've just seen. I think that's really quite something that you spend the time, at the Humboldt Inn and some of these other places. What did you learn from some of the residents and the patrons? Well,
you know, Michael, what I'm learning is that we often ignore a lot of the things that are happening in neighborhoods such as parts of the east side and the west side of Buffalo. And we look at great neighborhoods that Buffalo has, like the Elmwood Village, the Allentown area. And so what I decided to do is actually go into the neighborhoods and learn from the residents hands-on what's going on. They don't feel safe, so security is a big issue. It's an issue all throughout the city. But when you have criminals shooting guns into the Humboldt Inn, for example, you have now a business owner who's strongly considering closing the doors. So I'm meeting with these residents out in the street, and they're telling me that they're simply not happy with the way that things are going in the city of Buffalo. So safety, of course, education, the poverty is a big issue, unemployment, where we have the highest unemployment rate that we've had since the 1980s.
To be fair, though, what would make you different than what Byron Brown is doing? I was born and raised on the city's east side, and I can tell you it could be you or Jesus Christ in the mayoral's office. You are not going to change anything that's going on around the Broadway market. Ain't going to happen. And again, where do you find the money to hire more police officers? We have this task force. There's state cuts coming. So again, to hold the mayor's office accountable for all of these little variables is kind of unfair.
Well, you know what, Christy, I'd have to disagree with that statement. I think that a mayor can do a lot about the crime situation. For one, the mayor does appoint the chief of police. Another issue is that the City of Buffalo Police Department has gone without a contract for years now. Another thing is that 63% of the police force actually lives outside of the City of Buffalo. So there are many issues that we need to really closely examine. We look at other urban settings, for example, Boston, they have a program there. And what they do is they engage with kids at a very early age. It's actually called Ceasefire. And this program has proved to be successful in an urban setting. So absolutely, I believe that a lot can be done. I mean, hey, we appoint a chief of police. There's a lot that can be done.
I have a real quick question, though. You're a Marine, right?
Yes, sir.
Yes.
How does that help you out in this election?
Well, you know, some of the principles that we live by in the Marine Corps, and by the way, I did 5 years active duty. I was stationed in Camp Lejeune, North Carolina with 2nd Radio Battalion. And, you know, honor, courage, commitment, discipline. We're very hands-on. We just like to get things done, cut through all the, for example, all the bureaucracy that's happening here in the City of Buffalo. So I think that does lend an advantage to my candidacy as well.
Sergio Rodriguez, thank you for serving your country.
Thank you,
We
Kristen.
always appreciate that.
Thanks,
my friends.
Sergio.
Thanks, Sergio, for coming by. Interesting, getting into the race. Also interesting, questions about lottery cash. They are making a killing, yet so many of our schools are folding and not seeing it. That's up next when we return.